Liftoff.
Yes, this was my pick, Runaway Jury. I think no one else had seen this before besides me. Right. No, wait, you did, right?
I've seen
it. You have seen it. Okay.
Yeah.
When you were just drinking last time at the week, you didn't think you had seen it. But you actually, when he sobered up, he's like, yeah, I've seen this before.
That's good.
So, initial thoughts, I'll start out. So, initial thoughts, it's been the first time since I've seen this in a while, but man, I still enjoyed it, man. I love myself a good courtroom drama. I feel like the best scenes, though, like, I think between people were the scenes, like, not in the courtroom. Like, between, like when he was talking to the girl at the restaurant, or when he was talking to Gene Hackman in the bathroom, like, I feel like those are like the best back and forth scenes. But I still really enjoyed it. Without getting too much into my dislikes or likes, I would say I didn't realize how dated this movie felt until I watched it again. I felt like it felt kind of dated, like, and I felt like the direction of it wasn't that great, but I felt like the acting was really good, and I felt like the story was really, really good. I still feel like both those things held up well, so that's it for me. So we'll go to Ra. Initial thoughts.
Ooh, man, I remember like when I started watching it, everything came back to me. You know, like I haven't seen it in so long. But everything came back to me. I was like, man, I remember this. I'm gonna say, yeah, I remember how trash it was.
Wow,
dang!
Right off the bat,
this movie was trash, and
he doesn't like movies.
Oh, I love.
He likes comics. We figured it out.
I really do, but this movie, I'm when we get to that point, I'm gonna point out a lot of holes. There was a lot of holes. You know me, I'm a story person. When you fall in love with the story, the acting was great though. I will give you that, Dave. The acting was phenomenal, and I think that's what saved this movie. Like it literally what saved this movie was the acting. But there was a lot of holes. As I was watching it, I'm like, really? Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Okay. Oh, that happened? Oh, okay.
I want to hear.
So, anyways, but I thought it was trash.
Okay. Oh, is that all your initial thoughts, or were you done?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm
okay.
All
right.
To add.
Gotta save something after you say it's trash.
I know, right?
All
right, Jared. Initial thoughts.
So I said I didn't see this movie, but man, there were some parts that seemed really familiar. Like I might have caught it on TNT or something, flipping channels.
Oh yeah.
Especially it's funny that this scene stood out to me. The one where he goes in and he puts the Carmex under his eyes, and I'm like, what is he doing? And then he plays like he had a hangover.
Right.
To get the girl to give up her booze. Which I've never done hair of the dog. I mean, I like to drink, but that just does not.
What is that?
That is, right? Hair of the dog. It goes back to old times when a dog would give you, I think it was rabies, right?
Okay.
And the medieval idea was that if you ingested the hair of that dog, it would cure you.
Okay.
So hair of the dog with alcohol is if you have a hangover, you drink more alcohol in the morning.
Yeah, and it makes it go away. Which I've tried before, and I don't know if I did it wrong. It did not work.
I did it wrong. No, you just got drunk still. Like,
I mean,
you don't drink liquor. You drink beer. And
that's what I did.
Well,
I had a super bad hangover one time, and my friend was like, "Dude, just chug a Corona. Trust me, you'll feel better." And I chugged it, and I was just like, I still feel terrible. I was like, I don't.
Yeah,
what's the logic on this?
You just drink it periodically throughout the day, but you don't chug it.
Okay, so Jared and David don't like this. Raheem's like, there's a way to do it. I'm a virgin. I've never done this. I've never been so hammered that I thought maybe if I drank more alcohol. Like when
I actually
is that or fish oil? Fish oil works too.
I don't see myself getting to that point either. But I do think that this is probably why Bloody Marys and mimosas. Why mimosas and Bloody Marys were invented, probably.
Bloody Mary is such a good drink in the morning, anyways. Like, yeah.
I'm glad I got to teach you guys what hair of the dog. Yeah, that
was actually kind of cool. I never knew that.
It's not an exact thing, but I think it was rabies, and that's what it is. Anyways, yeah. So I do think that I've seen this, and it didn't make enough of an impression on me for me to remember. So that. I guess that's saying something. But when you watch something on TV and you got commercials and you got edits, it's hard to really focus on what makes a movie. I asked you at the beginning last week. I said, "Is this a Michael Crichton book?" And I meant John Grisham. A lot of these courtroom dramas from that time period, especially, are John Grisham, and this is.
It is?
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow. Rad.
I just know that if it came out around that time and it was a courtroom drama, it was probably John Grisham.
Is he also the one who made 12 Angry Men?
No, because that's like from the 50s.
Yeah, that's old.
Well,
he did Time to Kill, right?
He did Time to Kill.
That was the one that really.
He did The Firm. The Firm.
Oh, that's one of my favorite movies.
There was a 1995 remake of 12 Angry Men.
Maybe no, because it's the writer. It's not the director.
It's a book.
He did books. The guy that adapted into movies. So, anyways, I don't want to get into too heavy into other stuff. That's the experience I have when I was watching it this time. I'm like, man, this seems vaguely familiar. I think I had seen it, either in chunks or in full, but.
Gotcha. Okay.
So maybe I was not a virgin.
So both you guys kind of saw it then. Okay.
Runaway Virgin.
All right. Izzy?
Runaway Virgin. That's so funny. So I had absolutely never seen this, but I knew that I'd seen like probably the cover of it before, and I remember that Hackman was in it for some reason. I just like kind of keep a weird tally of movies in my head of him that I haven't seen yet. But my first impression, like interestingly, like what it felt like to me when I first started watching it, the way it was shot reminded me of like, just kind of Tony Scott's late 90s camera work.
Oh,
like
yeah,
we have this dusky, intimate, right? Like I had this combination of like Tony Scott at his best, but also some of that Michael Bay stuff we were talking about earlier, where there were these rotating shots that were really elegant. You like, we're watching like this ballet kind of happen in a flat plane, but it was still good for like, it spiced up this movie. I thought it spiced up the, what we were talking about and stuff. Mm-hmm. And you almost like said the thing I was going to say for this section in a different way of saying it. But this is the first courtroom drama I've seen where the entire movie happens outside of the courtroom.
Yeah.
Really. When you get right down to it, it's not really about what happens in the courtroom. It's all the stuff behind it or outside of it, right? So, also, I kind of like first impression. The dude, one of the dudes that works for Hackman is a guy that I really like, and I don't know his name. I've only seen him in a handful of movies. First time I saw him was in
Jeremy Piven.
No, not Piven.
Oh.
No. It's the guy that works for Hackman.
Oh, you said Hackman.
Yeah. He's the guy with the glasses, and he's kind of the nerd that announces everything he's seeing, right? He was the guy in Seven that ended up like raping that girl with the big sword, and they bring him in and they question him, and he has that complete meltdown while they're questioning him because he had to do it at gunpoint, right? Ever since that scene, I was like, that guy's an actor to watch. But then you never saw him in anything after that, which is kind of a bummer. But he's in this, so I was like really stoked about that. I was like, oh, cool, okay, I get to watch him act. But he just kind of was like, that guy has this stat and this, I'm going to look this up, and this is what we have on him. And I was like, oh, dang, I thought he was going to do another like tour de force, like emotional thing like he did in Seven.
Right.
But anyways, I like that he was in it though. I immediately noticed how alarmingly, what is it with these like late 90s, early 2000s movies where the casts are just completely bonkers? Like, I know, bonkers. Right? Like Man in Iron Mask was another one where we were like, loaded. What is this cast, dude? That like feels like one of these too. But maybe Rachel Weisz was like new enough that like they didn't really think about her as like a big mover and shaker yet, maybe. Right. But I mean, Dustin Hoffman and Hackman in the same film at all is crazy.
Yeah. With the splash of Cusack.
Yeah, and Cusack's great in this. He doesn't deliver a bad line in this movie. Like,
he's really good. Really good.
I was really impressed with him in particular in this movie. So, but I'll leave it at that for now for first impression.
Okay. All right, let's do it. So, likes. Likes, I will say, like I said before, I thought the acting was really good. Like you said, I thought Cusack did a great job. I thought Hoffman did a really good job. I thought Gene Hackman did a really good job. Even though he wasn't in it a ton, I thought Jeremy Piven did a really good job too.
He didn't do any comedy. That kind of blew my mind.
Yeah.
I expected him to do the like fast talking, like, I'm a douchebag, but I'm funny, so you like me thing.
Right.
But he didn't do any of it. He just was a guy, and I was like, whoa, that's restraint for him.
I liked the story of it. It was kind of one of those things like in 7 Pounds, where it's like where you go back and you realize like from the very beginning when he was in like the electronics store, like messing with the gun, like everything he was doing so he could get like picked. Like he knew those people were watching him, right?
Yeah.
So everything he was doing, the way he was acting and stuff, was so he could get picked to be on the jury, which I loved. I love that about the movie. Yeah, I like the twist on it. I think the acting and the story was like really great on it. I thought. I think probably
Okay.
my favorite scene was between, man, I don't know. It's either between Hoffman and Rachel Weisz, or
When they meet at the table outside.
yeah. He's like
Yeah.
yelling. He's like, hey.
He
And
totally
like
does.
nobody in the
Well, she's talking
restaurant
over him, yeah.
notices. Like nobody in the restaurant's like looking around at all.
Is that where he talks about her provocative bottom?
Yeah. Provocative little bottom.
The weird guy.
I love him, man.
He's so good, man. He's so good.
I thought you were going to say your favorite scene was the one between him and Hackman in the bathroom.
That
was
was
the
good
best.
too.
That was the
I
best
like that
one
scene a lot too.
out of the
I
whole
like that
movie.
scene a lot too.
That was
Man,
the
my
best
favorite one was her and him on the trolley, because then she gets off and you see her like lose it because she had
Right.
to act like she wasn't scared of him.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that was
That
cool.
was that was my favorite one as far as like a 2-person dialogue in the film. Plus, there was like a weird chase leading up to it that was neat. Like, I don't know.
Oh no, my favorite scene was at the very end after he sees that the money went through, and he has this look like, all right, he's about to like
I'm
convince
gonna win.
everyone. Yeah, right. And he triggers that one dude so bad, like the Marine or ex war vet guy or whatever. I love that scene. That scene is so good. But yeah, that was my favorite part.
Well, he was holding that card up his sleeve since the day he met him.
Yep.
You kind of get that sense that Cusack was like, oh, I know exactly the kind of guy you are.
Right. But yeah, those are my likes. I don't know. It's a weird thing, but I like how he was able to manipulate people. I don't know. It was cool to see how he was able to manipulate people. And I like that Dustin Hoffman's character was kind of through and through a good guy in this movie. Like he almost took the bait and paid off that girl or whatever so he could win the thing, and then he was like, "No, screw it. Like I'm gonna do it. Like I don't need you to win this. Like I'm gonna win it like the right way."
Right.
Right. Right.
I mean, that was his whole MO was being
Like by
trusting
the
in the
books.
system.
Yeah.
Trusting in the good of people.
Right.
You know,
Right.
good old America type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the devil's advocate, which is Hackman, who was the complete opposite. You know, people are people. They're terrible, imperfect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you push the right buttons, they're going to falter.
Right.
You know,
Right.
that was a jest of that.
All right. Go ahead, Ray. Likes.
Likes, the acting was absolutely phenomenal. I want to give a special shout out to Cliff Curtis, who played Frank, the war vet.
Mm.
That
Oh, yeah.
dude he played his part so well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Like really, really well. And then the final blow up with him, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At the end, you know, when he was sitting around the other jurors and he blew up and kind of revealed, you know, who he is as a person, you know, in his heart. So that to me, his acting all the way through like sold his character. There were some like even the soft characters, the ones that you really didn't get to look at, they still played their role really, really well.
Yeah.
Like we didn't get a lot of views of the lady who was drinking, whatever, you know, but her acting skills throughout, like she sold her little part, you know what I mean? Like she was quiet, she stuck to herself, and she had her little, you know what I'm saying, her little sippy sip, you know. Everybody did really, really well in this movie acting wise. So that right there in itself can save any movie. I don't care how it's written, that will save any movie. Just acting itself, if you convince people of it. The other thing that I liked were, again, it's to do with acting, was my two best scenes was the dialogue, the back and forth between Gene Hackman and Dustin. Excuse me. In the bathroom, that was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was about the good in people, right? and then it was also about, okay, well, if we're being realistic, this is how the world really is.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like in a real world situation, if this was a real thing, the other guy would have won, which they actually do win in real life. You know what I'm saying? Money is power, and they run things. They got things going on all the freaking time behind closed doors that we don't know about.
Yeah.
Well, think about how they won too.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Think about how they won too. I'm supporting your argument here. Like the only reason they won was because of jury tampering.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. The good guys. The only reason the good guys won was because of actual jury tampering from inside the jury. Yeah. So you're actually totally right. Hackman should have won that case, like in a weird way.
Oh yeah, Hackman should have won, and he probably would have won even without tampering. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it was still tampered. I know that.
That's what I was saying. That's only the good guys.
Cusack was saying that basically he allowed them to do their own. Not really, because he had a main part in it too. He did. Because they was getting ready to choose the other way. So
he triggered Frank to swing them all.
Exactly. Yep. So he still tampered. So it's like, you know what I mean? So it's at the end of the day, you know, both of them were in the wrong. Like everybody was in the wrong except for Destin. He was the only honest person in this whole freaking movie. You know? But I like the dialogue between that, and I also like the ending, the last conversation that was had with Rachel, Cusack, and Hackman. That last little scene right there, that was phenomenal to me. He's so like he can sell his emotions so freaking well as a business person. You know, like yeah. Oh my gosh, dude,
he's on another level, dude.
Yeah,
it's like his acting skills are just freaking amazing. It's just amazing just to watch it. So acting was phenomenal. I get what the writing was trying to do. I do get it, but to me, it kind of failed. I'm not going to talk about that part, but it kind of failed on the writing aspect of it.
Be cool to see how the book reads.
Hoffman is really good at like snapping. Like those little snaps of anger he has, like in his acting, he's so good at that. Like when he's in that scene, the bathroom scene with that guy, and like someone tries to walk in and he shuts the door, like I'm sorry, we're closing there, and he like locks it real quick. I'm just like, dude, he looks like he's so good at just like getting pissed real quick. Like,
I think it's because he also comes off as such a peaceful guy. He seems like your dad that would wear like a Hawaiian shirt. You know what I mean? Like the way that he is until he. So it takes, he's got a limit just like everybody does, but when he hits it, he's like at 10 because he's been holding it back the whole time. You know what I mean? That's almost what it feels like to me with him. It just makes it that much more believable.
Okay, so my likes, the whole movie I was watching, I was kind of like really impressed with. It seemed ahead of its time in a way that there were no good guys in the story,
dude. Right?
At least at first.
Yeah.
Like it felt like, I mean, I'm watching Ozark right now. We were talking about Breaking Bad a couple weeks ago. Same kind of thing. Weeds, like all those shows where Dexter, like it's like, you know, the bad guy is the main dude, right? And there was not one likable person in here. I don't even think at first Dustin Hoffman was portrayed as really likable. You didn't know where he was at, where he was coming from. He could have been a fast talking lawyer. Up until he refused that bribe. Like you said, or when he turned her down, like first he accepted and then he turned it down. So yeah, that I thought that was really cool. It did switch at the end to kind of give it, you know, your more peppy, like upbeat ending. But I mean, even John Cusack's character, like I kind of felt like for a minute when he went back to the girl, Rachel Weisz, in the apartment, like that took me by surprise. That was one of my likes for sure. That twist happened right there. I had no idea that, because he was talking to his friends about how he's going to get off of jury duty, you know, like when he did, and you know what he did now thinking about that, he looked around and he saw people were watching, but he didn't say anything about it. Like he was almost, I was expecting him to freak out when he's sitting at the table talking to his friends about how he's going to get out of jury duty. And he sees like 3 or 4 people spying on him.
Yep.
And I was expecting him to freak out, but then afterwards, I'm just now realizing, he didn't freak out because that's what he wanted.
Yeah, he knew they were watching.
Yeah,
I think he also knew. I think he also knew that the judge he sized up the judge so fast. He was like, oh, this is the kind of guy that's on a power trip, not a guy that cares about justice. So if I'm like, hey, I want to get out of this, he'll make sure I'm a juror. Because he would rather have the power in telling me I have to stay here and respect that I got picked as a juror. He figured him out like that quick. Like,
where do I know that actor from, by the way? The guy played the judge, because I
mean, he's in
a lot of stuff.
He's in Last Boy Scout. Like, he's in a bunch of cool stuff. I mean, he's probably in. Isn't he in Lethal Weapon?
Isn't he in My Cousin Vinny?
Yeah, he is.
My Cousin Vinny, probably. Yeah.
I feel like he's in My Cousin Vinny
as a judge. Actually, you're right. I think he's in My Cousin Vinny.
Is he?
Yes, he is. I'm looking up right now. Hold on.
He's like one of those like Clancy Brown types where he's in so many things and he kind of plays the same character, but he's so good at it.
I think he's amazing. I think he's. Oh, he's in True Romance. He's a main character in True Romance. He's one of the main characters in that.
Okay, that's weird that you said that, because I was just about to talk about True Romance when I said that he went back to his girlfriend and they started talking about how they got the whole thing working.
Yeah.
My Cousin Vinny. There we go.
Boom.
What's his name?
Sheriff.
He's a sheriff.
That's right.
He's a sheriff.
Okay, yeah. Bruce McGill.
Bruce McGill. Okay. Mental note taken.
Yeah.
But yeah, that felt to me like kind of one of those Bonnie and Clyde type situations, you know, where, oh, these dudes are bad people and they're totally gonna, you know, shyster everybody.
Right.
So I did like that I was taken aback and surprised by that reveal, and then also later the reveal that they were doing it for a good reason.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, I like the surprises. I like the fact that you didn't know who the good guy was for a long time, or even if there was one.
Right.
And of course the acting. I mean, it goes without saying.
I mean, yeah, no, seriously.
And you knew it was going to be, like, you didn't have any doubt. I didn't like the way Dustin Hoffman seemed to like fall in and out of his accent some, but because
because they're all doing the Boston or New Orleans thing.
It was like a Southern drawl type thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I think it was New Orleans.
Oh yeah.
But
sometimes you wouldn't have it all, and sometimes you would. But
Louisiana.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm gonna hold it right there.
Okay. All right, Izzy.
Okay, so I obviously like the acting. I actually was pleasantly surprised with the camera work. I thought it held up pretty well, actually, for how old it was. I was kind of impressed. It felt like what was, just reminded me of Tony Scott. You know, the way he shoots stuff, like the camera lenses he chooses, and like when he's shooting close or far away, like they just have this kind of dusky, mysterious vibe to them, and it suits the courtroom drama or suspense genre really well, I think. It's my favorite way to shoot those movies or to watch them. You know what I mean? Like, is when they're shot that way. So I really liked that right away. And then obviously I love Hackman. Anything he does, like, I don't think he can do any wrong. I'm like one of those guys. Like, so super impressed with Cusack in particular, and I didn't expect to be. His line delivery was like better than I think. This might be one of his best performances, actually. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all if like there was people saying that. Like, but I also really liked. I'm with Jared on the moral gray area thing, where like there isn't, there wasn't really quite a good guy yet. But for me, it was more that like you have this conversation with Hackman and Hoffman in the bathroom, and they're both taking the stance of the extreme opposite, right? Where like one is like, oh, you got to rely on the good of people, and that's all.
Right.
And then you've got the other guy with the other extreme that's like, well, no, people are worthless, and that's all. So really, to me, the movie was a lesson about, it was like a cautionary tale about keeping away from making blanket generalizations.
Right.
About humanity. Right? Like, that's how I took it. I was like, oh, because you never really know, you know what I mean? Like, because it could go either way. The fact that they were saying, I'm right because people are good, I'm right because people are bad. Well, neither of them were really right. There was like this huge mix of the two, right? Even when you got down to the jurors. Right? All the jurors had some dirty secret that he said that he could exploit, but a lot of them were really good people just going through hard times. Like, so I don't know. It's just that I thought it was cool. I thought the lesson in the movie wasn't really about guns. It was more about not making blanket generalizations about humanity because of certain experiences you've had. You know what I mean? So I thought that was cool. I thought that was really cool for a movie that wasn't that new. You know what I mean? And it wasn't really making a social commentary on that, but I feel like it was just kind of at its core. Kind of throughout the movie, throughout the conversations, I let's see, what else? I really liked how the first third of the film was basically psychology, and that was something I didn't expect. Right? I get to watch people be deconstructed based on their mannerisms, right?
Yeah.
And I like that stuff. I kind of do that stuff automatically.
I love it. Yeah.
Jared will tell you that. I'll automatically kick in and start making judgments about people that probably seem like I'm making a lot of leaps. You know what I mean? But I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know. I think I have enough information to kind of make that leap. And one of my favorite moments was Gene Hackman said something after I said it out loud in the living room. And it was when they're like, oh, she's fat, she's conscious about her weight, she's moving around that person. I was like, oh, she doesn't like dogs. And then he goes, or she just doesn't like dogs. And I was like, dude, I was like, is this going to be what this movie is? Am I going to be eating like psychological dessert all movie? Like, I'm going to love this stuff. But they killed it like after that. Then it turned into the intrigue movie and the actual plot. So you know what I mean? Right. They could just keep doing that. But I love that part. I love that aspect of trying to do the Sherlock Holmes thing, you know what I mean, to figure out people's motives and what they, you know, just by watching them. And I did really love that he had, you know, Frank figured out right away, and that he was like, this is the most powerful tool that I have in the jury, and I'm going to wait to use it until the very last minute, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. He actually just kind of let Frank be mean to him every once in a while, and was like, yeah, whatever, dude, you know, like he wouldn't really backtalk him. And then, man, he fired at him with both barrels, and it like totally worked, because that guy's weakness was his temper and his pride. And he saw it immediately, right? He saw it instantly in that when he was like, I'll be the leader. He did that thing. And he's like, oh, that's okay. That's the guy I use. That's the guy
who are first will be put last.
That's it, dude. Right? Yep. Yeah. Like he was like, yeah, that guy's prideful. Awesome. Done. That's easy. Like, so that was kind of cool. But I almost want to watch it again. So now that I can watch Cusack and Hackman both, because the person that doesn't use anyone in the film is actually Hoffman. Oh, yeah. Yep. He never uses anyone, right? Yeah. So like he's always just kind of at the mercy of the way the case is going, and that's why he's stressed out enough to take that 10 million like at that moment, right? I also like that. That's one of my huge likes, is that he actually was imperfect enough to think about taking the money all the way up to the point where he took it and then didn't give it to her at the very last minute. He was like, actually, you know what? Screw this. And it totally did matter right then, because he thought he was losing. Right. Right. So it still was the right choice. It in a way that I like in a movie. You know, I'm usually complaining about people apologizing too late, right? And then being like, oh, I regret it. That didn't happen there. He took the money and had the intent, and then he stopped when it would have benefited him, right? That's huge. That's like, okay, that's a good person. Like he definitely.
Wait, what if he kept the money?
Sure, he didn't. He works for that firm. They're like, do you still need that 10 million? Where did that go? Because that was the firm, right? That was basically like the firm dads that he talked to. Like, that's funny though. What if he kept it? Yeah, yeah, maybe he's not that great. I'm out. And then one last thing that was one of my favorite things in the movie is Rachel Weisz wins a fight with an assassin, and she's a woman, and you never see that in movies that old ever. Yep. I thought it was amazing.
Like when she put like the beer bottle in her purse and cracked it.
Everything. Oh, here's how she beat him. And this is something I like personally, obviously, for obvious reasons. Now you guys are getting to know me. She beat him because she was smarter than him, not because she was stronger. Right. She outthought him at every step of that, and she still took a beating in a realistic way. Oh yeah. Right. Yep. But she definitely, and then I love that after she did it, she used that leverage against Hackman, because she's not an arrogant person. She doesn't talk down to people, but she's like, that's how Hackman communicates. So I'm going to call and be like, yo, your buddy isn't walking home tonight. Click. Right. So she's got Hackman figured out now at that point too. Now that she knows he's the kind of guy that would talk that way and send an assassin. Right. I loved it. I loved that a chick actually like beat an assassin because she was smarter than him. I thought that was a good part. That was a good part. Yeah, and it was a welcome sight in an intrigue movie that you always see the damsel in distress, right? And they were setting it up with Cusack being like, "Oh man, I'm not sure I can protect you." Right? You're like, "Oh God, is this going to be like she isn't?" And seeing her get nervous after that conversation. So I thought it was cool. I thought it was a cool switcheroo. And it was refreshing for a movie from the time. So, but I'll leave it at that. Okay.
All right, so yeah, like I said, I just like, I kept waiting. I don't know, man. Maybe I don't know. I felt like I kept waiting for like something great to happen with the camera work, and like it seemed so basic. All the camera shots, it just seemed so basic. Also, I thought the score was really boring. I noticed it in this one. It sounded super generic. Like when the score did kick, like there was some scenes where I guess it sounded kind of tense, but like, man, for like most of the part when it was kicking in, I was like, man, it's like so cheesy. Like it sounded so 90s and like just cheesy, like ding, 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 like just real cheesy in certain spots, man. There were a couple parts that were like super convenient that like kind of annoyed me. Like when he left the hotel to go meet up with Gene Hackman, I was like, come on, man. Like the cop just happened to be like looking in the direction he was able to hop over, and then there just happened to be a pole right there by the roof, like that he could get down. I was just like, oh, I was like, dang it. It would have made more sense if like the cop was like going room to room just to make sure like he couldn't hear anything, and then like I guess
or
then
they'd
he
have guards
stuck out
posted
then.
on the balconies and stuff at the exits.
Yeah,
So
right,
they could
right.
see people coming out of the rooms and be like, "You all good? What's up?"
Yeah,
Like, you know
yeah.
what I mean?
I don't
But
think
they're
they would
just
be
down
that
in the
chill.
parking lot, hanging
Right,
out,
right.
looking at not the rooms,
Ridiculous.
looking the other way.
Yeah.
That's a good
The only other thing that annoyed me that I didn't notice the first time I watched it. So the guy who went into Cusack's apartment and like the first time, he was like messing around with his computer and acting like a maintenance guy.
Yeah.
I was like, when he came back the second time, I was like, because he made such a scene when he left the first time. I was like, did he not like report this guy? Like say, hey, this is what this guy looks like. Like, can we get a warning out for this guy? Like a police reporting this? Like he just walked right back in the apartment again, and no one noticed, and he lit the place on fire. I was like, man, that's really like if someone came in my apartment and I had them on camera, and I would have their face plastered everywhere. Like their
I
face
almost
would be
think
everywhere.
he didn't. I have a theory about that, but like it's only in this moment. I didn't think about it. So the fact that you're saying it now, I'm kind of like, okay, I can play devil's advocate for just a second. And it's that the only thing I can think of writing wise why you wouldn't report that guy is so you have a bargaining chip where you're like, hey, Hackman, I know you sent a guy to break in with me, to break into my place, right? Where you're like, that's something I know about you. So now I'm holding that over your head in a way that's like quietly threatening. You're not doing anything about it yet. But I don't think a conversation like that even happened. So you're probably right. It's probably just a stupid writing flaw. But
yeah, right. I mean, some of the stuff towards the end, like when that same guy started figuring out, like he started putting everything together, like going to people's houses and stuff, like from Cincinnati to Indiana, and like he was finding out everything seemed like really extreme. Like I just feel, I don't know, maybe you could, but I just feel like he wouldn't be like this guy got into everyone's house throughout the movie. Like he got into John Cusack's apartment twice. He was able
wasn't
to
convincing.
At all. Like he said he made up a story about being the car salesman, whatever he was, the one guy, and then he was able to get into that woman's house of the two daughters at the end of the movie. I'm like, how's this guy just like he's just getting every info he needs without like even trying? Like he's just getting everything he needs. But yeah, those are probably my main dislikes on it.
That's funny, dude.
But
His whole little road trip was so weird.
Yeah, I was just like, when he snatched the letter at the guy. He's like, "Hey, you care if I take a look at that real quick?" And then the guy's just like,
I'm a car salesman for someone who hasn't lived here in years. Can I have his mail?
Right.
Sure.
Let me look at his mail real quick.
Make it make sense, man. Make it make sense.
But all right, I will. Raheem, dislikes.
Here we go.
Remember, we're on
didn't like this movie. Okay.
I know, long time. So I'm gonna try to hit the points I remember and then move on. I knew this movie was gonna be trash.
Oh my god, here we go.
The opening scene.
The opening. With the shooting.
The shooter, right?
Okay.
So you run to the office. You're doing the right thing. You're calling police. You're trying to find cover. You run to the office. Which way did that door open?
I don't know.
It opened
left.
It opened towards the office, inside the office, right?
Mm.
This dude was standing up against the door, and then the gunman bust open the door as if he wasn't even standing by the door, and then boom, it goes to white. I said, "Oh my god!" That I rewinded it just to make sure I wasn't tripping.
Like, hold up.
He was literally up against the door where if the shooter tries to open the door, he's going to be right there to stop the door from swinging open. How the hell does that door swing open? How?
You saw that guy. He was milquetoast.
Oh my gosh. It was.
I could
when
have
I
took
seen
him.
that, I said, "Oh."
I guess he could at least try to lock the door, but yeah.
I said, "Oh, it's gonna be that type of movie." So I prepared myself for everything else that's going to happen. I'm a fast forward. There's a lot of little things in between there, but I'm a fast forward. I wish they would have spent more time though. Like I like that part what you talk about is the psychological part of picking. I wish it would spend more time on that, like getting to more depth of each juror that they were trying to hone in on. It would have added more character.
Yeah,
but they didn't. But so I'm gonna fast forward to one of the scenes that you talked about when Dave talked about, which was asinine to me, right? So his apartment gets broken into the first time. You mean to tell me you're gonna keep all your stuff, the main information that can backtrack you in that same spot? Not only that, they broke into your house. You had this scuffle thing going on. They broke into your house, and
he kind of wanted them to though. The first time though, that was like his plan, was them breaking in.
Yeah, that thing he found, he said there was nothing on it.
Yeah, that's all gravy, right? But when you break in the second time, and then you find a thing that actually is something, there's something on it, but you left it in the apartment under some, whatever.
Why isn't that on him? Why isn't that in his car?
Like somewhere, just somewhere that's not there.
Safe deposit box.
Yeah, safe deposit
Anyone
box.
can get those. You got a social security number. You can get a freaking deposit box, dude.
Or even at the freaking mailbox, right? The little mailbox, the IPO. I was it IPO or PO box. Like there's so many places that you can keep that very important thing. But I get it. You have to find some way to connect the movie. Right. So they literally did terrible connecting the dots. It was all convenience. Every single one of them was a convenience, right? And then not only that, this dude's house is getting burned down, or apartment's getting burned down, and she feels comfortable enough after all this is going on. She feels comfortable enough to go back to her apartment without a care in the world, no caution at all. I said, "Oh my God!"
Right, and then she's shocked that there's an assassin in there. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but I'm like, this is dumb. It's
like, oh.
After everything that's going on, you already visited them. You don't think that somebody's going to be following you or find out information to where you are actually at and try to set something? It's like, come on, man. So, but I get it. You try to paper trail it to where it's going to make sense. Right? You want everything to flow and follow and make sense, right? And then you have this dude who's towering over her, right? Who has every advantage in the world, even if she swings that bag at that velocity. In that little small square area, it's not going to harm him enough for him to be disabled for her to whatever. And then it goes to a different screen. You're thinking that, okay, she's done. She's going to be captured or whatnot. And she makes this phone call, and it kind of shows you what actually happened. I'm sitting here like, okay, yep. It's just one of those movies.
I thought we could make it a little bit more realistic. It could have been over right there where she hit him with the sandbag or whatever it was. Like, but they didn't do that.
If you right here,
done.
You can right there. You're done. You're not fighting anymore.
Stopped right there, but they did show. They did show she tried to get she pulled out like 3 different moves, right, to get away. I remember I think there were at least 3.
I like fights.
Yeah, because she's amazingly strong. All I'm saying is that watching those coincidences, that writing to try to make things click together. Like, I get it. Like, if you look at the full story of the movie, it was great. I think they should have done a better job of connecting the dots or making things flow to where it would have ended up how it ended up. It did a terrible job at that. To me, it was asinine. It was dumb as hell, and I was going like this the whole time watching it. Like, okay, that happened. Oh, okay, that happened. Oh, okay. Prime example, what you said about him just skipping out on the jury thing and setting up the whole lunch.
That's a good one.
Like, come on.
There's actually cops there too.
Yeah, I was like, I forgot all about when they had like a barbed wire fence, but they had a pole that went above the barbed wire fence. I was like, wait a minute. That's a little convenient. Like, what's the point of a barbed wire fence if you have a pole that just that connects to a roof that goes over it?
Or when he bashed out all the windows of the person who broke into his apartment the first time, and then you gonna bend the corner. You can't see out that. How you gonna bend the corner driving without hitting anything? Without hitting not one wall, 2 walls, a garbage can, nothing. You just bend the corner and then escape. I was like, "Where's Batman at? Where's Batman? We need Batman." It was just, like I said, the thing that saved this movie was the acting, dude. Like, if it was like subpar acting, this movie, you guys would call out every flaw in this writing. It's just the writing did not meet the expectations that I was thinking it was going to be. I'm gonna stop there. I can go on. I can literally go on, but I'm gonna stop there.
Oh, I know you can. All right.
Generous.
All right, Jared.
Okay, it's funny you pick out the stuff that doesn't make sense that are technicalities, and
not all of it.
Well, not all of it. You're right, but a lot of it. And I look more at like human reaction, like how people would actually respond to stuff. Mm-hmm. I like the fact that John Cusack's character was portrayed as smart and charismatic, and he could sway a jury. But I think that a lot of this stuff was a stretch to actually make happen. Like he comes in there, he tells a story about his friend who died in the war, and somebody happens. I mean, he gets the other person to say it, right? That's the thing. It's like he doesn't say it right out, but he gets the other person to say, "I got it. How about we do a flag salute for him?" Right?
That was a stretch.
That was a stretch, as well as the hair of the dog thing. Because what if she had some sort of like anti hangover pill in her purse instead, and she would have handed him that,
right,
rather than the whiskey. Like,
yeah, I just think that a person that drinks in a jury room is the kind of person that would be like wanting to connect with someone over alcohol if they know they're also having trouble with drinking. They'd be like, "Dude, I got something."
It's possible, but to put all your chips in that happening, right, and then it actually works. Like to me, that was a little bit of a stretch. To like by the skin of their teeth,
right?
They just believe that they can go in and make this thing happen, and then miraculously they do.
Everything fires too. There's no misfires. Like
I some of the slow motion shots were like for no reason. Just a dude falls back and for 2 seconds, there's a slow-mo of it. And they were kind of all over the place. There were a couple where it worked, okay, but there were some that was just like, why there? Like,
yeah. The one that I noticed for me, the slow-mo shot was like at the end when they won the verdict and what's his name was hugging the woman that he was defending, and it was like a slow-mo shot. He like looked over at Gene Hackman, and it was like slow-mo, and Gene Hackman's like slowly moving like this.
Yeah, got you.
I just noticed. It just stood out to me. I was like, why is he hugging her in slow-mo?
He's protecting her from the bad men.
All the bad men.
The big bad gun industry.
The other thing I wanted to, that might be a dislike, but I want to ask you guys, because I wasn't real clear on exactly how it happened. But when they got the owner of the gun company to say whatever he said about the Second Amendment, I don't get why that was like a huge deal to get him to say that. Like, what did I miss there?
You missed the fact that he lost his temper on the stand over being okay. You know, when somebody's like, "I'm not getting sensitive. I'm not being defensive," right? Like that's like, okay, that's totally what happened. He forced him into proving the fact that that's a hot button by how worked up he got over it when he was pushed. Instead of being like, "Dude, I don't know what to tell you. I already said what I said," right? You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah,
it's not my problem. He was trying to get him to prove that it was not his problem over and over and over and over again, and then he just got angry. He physically lost his temper in the courtroom. That invalidates everything he said. Yeah, because he has an emotional attachment in defending himself from the thing he's being accused of, right? You only get emotional when somebody actually must have hit pretty close to the mark to get her all riled up like that, huh, kid?
Okay, so it wasn't something that he said directly that incriminated him.
No, but they should have. They should have added that. They should have added him saying, "You know, it's not my problem." If he was like yelled that out, "It's not my problem," or "It's not," like instead of he yelled out the Second Amendment, right? And if he would have said that and he said the Second Amendment, it's like it's not my problem. You know,
you can't handle the truth.
Yeah, no. I'm saying if he would have yelled out something like that, that was more pointed, that would have had more of an effect. But him just yelling out, "It's a second," he just lost his temper. Of course, you're berating him, so he gets frustrated, and then he yells out. To me, it was like, okay. Like, I felt the same way you felt, Jerry. Like, I understood why, but I still felt the same way you felt. I felt like there was something missed something should have been there that should have really reached out and grabbed the audience. And to me, it didn't do that either.
Interesting. I totally got it. I was like, wow, yeah, you wouldn't get worked up about something that wasn't on point. Like, let's say you're getting berated about something that isn't true. You'd be like, I don't know what to tell you, dude. Like, you would be like that. But the second you're getting angry,
not really. That's not really true because there's hell. Like, even myself, some of my family members and some friends that I have, like, if we feel passionate about something, we're going to get worked up, period.
That's what I said. He felt passionate about the Second Amendment, and he was trying to pretend he wasn't. He was trying to be all cool, like, no, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. Like, yes, that's exactly my point. Okay, you get worked up when it's something you're passionate about.
Right.
Was it the Second Amendment?
Well, it was more so.
What is the Second Amendment anyway? Rights to
bear
arms.
So in that moment, because the whole thing was Gene Hackman was saying, like, criminals are buying your weapons, and that's why you make like fingerprint resistant weapons, so criminals can buy them and not get caught and stuff like that. And the guy's like, no, that's not why we do it. Like, we're doing it because it's the Second Amendment. People have the right to own guns and blah blah blah. And then him snapping on that means like the guy obviously was like, he knows what he was doing. He knows he was making these guns, so like they could be resold or whatever.
Okay, so he did in a way admit to something. It wasn't just
kinda. I mean, by snapping,
like,
sure.
If I was being accused of lying, if I was getting accused of lying about something, if I was getting accused of lying about something like over and over and over again, I'd get passionate and burst out about it. But it was the combination of him showing that he was passionate about this thing that was kind of the crux of the argument, right? It was kind of,
I don't think that's it. I saw it from the point of a juror. If I saw a man on the stand as a juror, if I was in the jury and I saw a person on the stand trying to play it all cool and be like, no, that's not really what it is. That's not what it is. And somebody's like, it is. And then you flip. Mm-hmm. It's not what it is, right? Yeah. And the jury, I'm like, yeah, it is.
Yeah, all you got to do is make the jury. All you got to do is create doubt.
That easy.
That's all you got to do.
That easy, dude. Like that's all they did. They just made him look like he was full of crap because he was emotional about something he was pretending he didn't care about. Obviously, he cares about it. Obviously,
I'd be emotional about something I cared about.
But he was pretending he wasn't. That's my point.
You're trying to win over a jury in that moment, though.
Right?
He's trying to win over by being like, no. I don't care about getting criminals money. That's not how this is working. And it's like, well, what's with the fingerprint resistant crap then?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just say it's like oil resistant? Why don't you say it's rust resistant? Like, you know what I mean? He's like pushing him because the jury needs to care about whether or not criminals knowingly buy these guns, and the company condones that. That's the crux of the case.
Exactly.
Right. So once he gets emotional about that after he's pressed, the jury no longer believes that he doesn't know that. They're instantly like, "You're so full of crap, dude. You're totally taking money from criminals, and you knew it." Like, even though he didn't say it, he didn't admit it. He didn't need to.
Right.
He didn't need to. He got pressed in the right. Like, no, he totally pushed the right button and called it. He called bullcrap on him, and it worked. Like, that's why Hackman was so upset in that moment because he knows how 12 jurors are going to see that.
Okay.
12. Like, all of those jurors are going to be like, that guy's full of crap at that point.
I just think that they could have conveyed that better, in my personal opinion.
Maybe. Yeah, I caught it, but like I guess like different people probably would see different things, right? That's what makes us different. This is the reason I love this movie, right? Is the whole like you can't just be like everyone would get that. Not everyone would get that. If me and Raheem were in the jury right then, right? We would see two different things, and we'd go in the back room, and then we'd have a talk about it with the other jurors, and I would be like, "Yo, I think that guy's full of crap," and Raheem would be like, "Why?" I mean, I would get emotional if I was getting pressed about something, and then you'd have 2 points of view going right there, right? And then you'd have this big dialogue about it, but in the movie, that was a big deal because it killed his credibility because he got emotional.
Okay.
About something he was lying about, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good point is,
I guess that doesn't really change why it's a dislike for me.
Okay.
I feel like it was a dislike because it's such a common trope of these courtroom dramas where everybody's
make the dude snap.
They're reaching this fever pitch, and he's just asking the question, even though the gavel's coming down, and all of a sudden he just blows out.
That's totally a trope. It is.
Yeah. The judge was saying to chill. Yeah.
But
that's what you say. You can't handle the truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the weird thing about it in this movie is didn't have much significance, so it didn't need to be there, right? Because the movie was not about that really.
It helped. It was a chink in the armor.
The movie in itself wasn't. The case, I guess, was, but yeah, the overall like theme of the movie, it wasn't really.
Because think about this. Think about it this way: if I was on that jury, I would, and I was trying to swing it. If I was John Cusack, I would know it instantly. When I saw that guy snap, I was like, nice. Now the only thing I have to do, all I have to do, is get the only person on the jury who's going to double down on gun rights to be the reason the rest of them flip. Which is Frank, obviously, Frank. You would just be like, it would make your job that much easier if you saw the owner of the gun company cracking under pressure in an emotional way, right? You'd be like, oh yeah, I just use the Marine. I just get him heated just like that.
Right.
I do the same thing, like in the back room, and it's totally gonna work. Like, but we don't, it's hard to know that when you're watching the movie the first time. It's cool to have this conversation because I didn't really think about that. But that's like a connected dot for me. Like, but it just depends on people though.
Usually that's the thing that like calls the movie, right? When they push the defendant up to that point.
Yeah.
This time
it wasn't
there, despite the fact
that's true. I know what you mean.
Despite the fact that it was cliche,
right?
But it could have been. If it was not in there, it really wouldn't have made an effect on the movie.
Interesting,
right?
Yeah.
I just feel like almost every lawyer movie has that.
Yep.
It would have been nice one that doesn't.
I mean, you kind of have stuff like that in real life. I've been in there before. Not to get too personal, but I was there on a stand before, and you get to see how things work, from that perspective. And
it's tense.
It's intense. It really is intense, and they tap into your emotions. They really do.
That's what they get paid for.
Yep.
The big bucks.
The big bucks.
Yeah, that's it. Those are my dislikes.
Okay.
Is he?
All right. So I hated the soundtrack. I thought it was completely annoying and never shut up. You meant to mention that?
I keep forgetting to mention it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad
too.
Nobody mentioned it because it was terrible. It was that bad.
It was pretty bad.
I hated it, and it never stopped. And I was like, God, if this just stopped, like this movie would be so much more suspenseful if this ever ended. Like the soundtrack. It reminded me of Star Trek Next Generation again. Like it just sounded like one of those total like very canned like soundtracks, you know what I mean? That's just kind of always on, and you're like, I got it. That's always like like sweepy music as things are going and stuff. So didn't really feel like groundbreaking, or it just felt unnecessary too. It felt kind of obnoxious, actually. That's almost a better word. It just kind of took you out of like a lot of it. And there were a few convenient things I didn't like. It's weird. I don't like something that none of you really mentioned. I really didn't like the ending at all. I don't like how like all of a sudden this switch flipped where like Cusack and her run off with $10 million, and we're supposed to be fine with that morally. And then they go look at a bunch of kids in a playground. They're like, let's go. And then the credits roll. And it's just kind of like, it all just like, I feel like it just careened like into the end of the movie, like for me, which I guess maybe I just didn't, I liked the suspense so much that maybe I just didn't want an ending. So maybe it felt like abrupt to me, but that really bugged me. The ending just had like a bow on it. And I hate endings like that. I hate endings with a bow on it. Hate it. And also I hate that kind of like, I kind of hate that Dustin Hoffman won the case because there's no way it's the gun manufacturer's fault that a guy went on a rampage in an office building.
Right.
Like there's no way.
But
like there's zero way that's the case. So even though I'm like, I don't like gun violence, like I would consider myself a pacifist. If I was on that jury, I probably would have sided with the gun with the gun company. Like honestly, like, which sounds really weird, but I'm not going to get swayed by sentimentality alone, right? You're there to indict someone for a crime,
right?
And the gun company didn't really commit a crime, and you know why? Because there isn't gun moderation that was broken. There were no laws that were broken by the gun company, right? So I was kind of like, from a legal standpoint, I was like, that this isn't really a case, like, so they had to, but that actually sort of, in a weird way, reinforces why the movie exists, because they had to tamper with the jury to get the outcome they needed. So you're left with this thing of like, well, they broke the law.
Right.
They broke the law. Like John Cusack and Rachel Weisz broke the law, right?
Yeah.
Another thing I didn't really like is I'm not sure if, I couldn't tell if like what Gene Hackman was doing was openly illegal and they were hiding it, like the surveillance of the court proceedings and all that. That's not legal, right? None of that is, right? As far as
that's all
communicating through like an earpiece during the
all of it
case
is
and everything.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay.
If it's an actual thing, or if it's just completely made up.
I'm sure it's made up. for the movie, but I couldn't tell if it was legal or not. And I really wish the movie gave me like a clear indicator of that sort of. I mean, I guess it's like it feels wrong, right? You're kind of like, oh, you shouldn't do that. But like, also, I hate that they didn't get caught when she outthought them. I really like it when people outthink other people in movies and it pays off, right? And she was like, oh, there's a robbery in progress at the costume store. She knew where they were the whole time. That's so sick. And they had to pack up and leave. I wish they would have got caught. Like the cops were around. You had that scene where they're all like, oh no. Like, but then I guess that would have caused a mistrial, which you don't want. You want the huge $110 million award that's supposed to cripple the gun companies, right?
Right.
So I feel like the ending just felt a little like heavy-handed and kind of ham-fisted as far as like, because there was gun violence right then. That was like a topic right when that movie was made. So it showed its topicality and age in a way, like in the ending. So, but mostly I really liked this movie, dude. The stuff that I didn't like was like really minimal, but it was worth mentioning. You know what I mean? Soundtrack was obnoxious. I hated the ending with a bow on it thing. But that's really about it. I guess I could have said it a lot shorter than that.
Yeah, I like I think the main thing I like about it is just like, I like that you can go back and look at all the stuff.
Totally.
Like that was happening throughout the movie. Like everything kind of makes sense when you're watching it. Like
I thought that too as I was watching it.
Yeah.
Totally. As I was watching, I was like, oh man, I remember this back then. That probably looks way cooler when you watch it again.
Right.
So that's probably about it, though. I liked a lot of it. I liked a lot about this movie. So.
Alrighty, so should we get into ratings?
Yeah, we should do it.
All right, ratings. I'll start out of 10. I'm gonna give it. I want to say 6, but I'm gonna go 7. I'm gonna say 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Rob?
You gave us a movie that you would possibly give a 6 to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
I like the story of it's really good, but I mean, I like the flaws of it. I kind of can't ignore. Like I was watching it today, and I was like, man, there's just some things about it, like I just can't ignore.
You said it's been like 10 years, right?
It's probably been a few years.
You're probably looking at it with like a little bit more scrutiny too, because you know.
Yeah. Like when the first time I saw this, I knew nothing about movies, aside if I liked them or not.
Right.
But
well, that too. You know.
Like I never paid attention to the score of a movie before when I listened to it. You know.
Well, yeah. Honestly, when it comes to dislikes, I probably would not have pinpointed in my brain the things I didn't like about it, unless I was doing this. Like we know we're going to be asked these questions. We come on with this our thing that we do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm sure that we all kind of look at movies that we possibly love or whatever with a whole different eye right now, which is cool.
Yeah. All right, Ra.
Trash.
Not a number.
That's not a number.
I give this movie a 5. So I give it a 5 solely because of the acting. That's it.
That's what's getting it a pass.
That was getting a pass.
Look, he's leaving. He's going to throw his chair out the window.
Would I watch this again? No. I would not willingly watch this movie again. Very forgetful.
Forgettable.
Forgettable. There you go. Forgettable.
That's funny, dude. Okay.
All right, Jared.
That's it.
I'm with Raheem. I probably wouldn't watch it again. It wasn't memorable because I saw it apparently once and I remembered certain parts. But it was. I'm trying to kind of put it in the courtroom genre and trying to think of what I really liked and what I didn't. And I think it was better than your average courtroom drama. So that would bump it from average to be 5. So I'm moving it up to 6.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right, Izzy.
I'm gonna give it an 8.
Dang! Wow.
Yeah,
he liked it.
I loved it.
They gave a higher rating than me.
I thought it was awesome. Like I think the camera work was more modern than it should have been at that point. I love Tony Scott's directing, so the fact that I immediately felt Tony Scott that made me feel good. I love the whole first third of the movie in a way that's like psychology. I love trying to figure out why people do what they do, and I love trying to do it quick, right? So and this movie did that. Like I got to do that with the movie in a way that was like really engaging. I didn't expect it. So And I think it's one of Cusack's best performances. I love Hackman. I love Hoffman. Like there was not a lot to hate here for me. So I'm going to give it an 8. That's surprising. I didn't expect to rate it higher than Dave. I almost second guessed. I gave it a 7. I was like, oh, and then you guys were like, I was like, no, I liked it that much. I did. I'm not going to question myself. Give it an 8. I thought it was cool as hell. I would love to watch it again to see all that stuff again. So I just think the soundtrack was awful. Like, just wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
I really love Earth's question right here too, where he said, "Do you think that it was like necessary evil thing they did? Like they make the gun company pay, but at what cost? Was it worth it?" And I'm the kind of person that's like, you should never have to do the wrong thing to get the outcome you want. I think I would rather see someone do the right thing, even if it hurts them.
Yes, because people paid a price, right? There was that lady who tried to overdose and tried to kill herself, and I hope. I mean, it had no leeway in this movie to show that, okay, they're gonna, give her some of that money or whatever for her problems. It was none of that. So I just think that they were all around bad people except for Hoffman. That was it.
Well, it's also, I mean, life is pain.
Yeah.
You don't get to dodge it just because, like, by doing the wrong thing. Like that's kind of one of my things is like, you know what I mean? I feel like everyone in the chat in this group has gone through things that hurt them. Whether or not they tried their best, or like, they let's put it this way: people have done everything right and still gotten hurt before. So what's wrong with doing that every time?
That's kind of what that guy was saying at the end. The military guy, he was saying he was just saying like, hey, bad things happen to people all the time. They don't sue everyone for every bad thing that happens.
Well, he was being dismissive though, but yes, he had a different tone. He was being about it. But yeah. Right. It is almost like it is a similar. It's a careless sentiment. He's being careless about it. I'm being like, hey, it makes you a better person,
right? If
you try to do the right thing, like you know what I mean, and then you have a clean conscience about it, even if it hurts you, So I think there are probably exceptions when it comes to like, I guess when it comes to gun violence, honestly, like now that we're talking about it, like if someone breaks in your house and you have to defend yourself in a way, like your family, your kids, or I don't have any of that, so it's like tough to me to like get there, but like I don't know, I just. By and large, like I like the whole like do the right thing even if it hurts, because it shows what you're made of.
I agree with the military man up until the point where he started saying I. When the I came in, it was it became about him. Like I did this, I did that.
Oh yeah,
I'm not getting paid for it.
Man, it was right there.
And I was like, okay, so why did you sign up? What was the whole purpose?
That's what I said. I said it out loud. I was like, you're the one that signed the papers for the military. You're supposed to serve.
Exactly.
Right.
You put yourself in that situation.
They refer to it as service for a reason, dude.
Yeah. Right. Thank you for joining us for another episode. We will see you guys next week.
Yes, sir.
Guys, have a good one. All right.
Peace out, y'all. Thanks for watching.
What is up, FourTakers? Jared here. I just want to give you a way that you can access our content without giving you a bunch of Twitter account addresses and Facebook account addresses and all that. It is one very important link that you need to remember to see all that FourTakes has to offer. If you want to listen to our podcasts by itself, if you want to watch us while you listen, if you want to check out all 3 of our very distinct different types of videos that we have under our playlists on YouTube, that's there. If you want to join in on the conversation live via David's Twitch on Monday nights, 8 o'clock Pacific time, that link will be there. If you want to pick the next movie that we do, we're going to do a viewer's pick monthly. That would be through our Facebook or our Twitter accounts. That will be there. If you want to monetarily contribute to us, that will be there. If you want to just check us out and see what we're doing in our everyday life and watch Izzy and David play video games, chat with them personally. If you want to watch me sing dorky Mandalorian parody videos and hang out with my granddaughter and do all sorts of goofy skits, that will be there. Everything is there, and it's under one address that you need to remember. It is linktr.ee/FourTakes. Now the important thing is that there is a dot between the tr.ee. It is linktr.ee/ no, that's confusing. linktr.ee/FourTakes. Enjoy the show and check that out.